Excellent. Welcome, everyone, to the August 20th, 2025 Planning and Development Subcommittee of the Gloucester City Council. I'm Jason Grove, I'm the chair of the committee. To my front is Val Gilman. She is the vice chair. And to my right is Dylan Benson. He is our third member. We have Lyons Jones is our everything. He's our everything. You're our everything. I can't see him. You said I would see him, and now I can't see him. He's over there. You're my everything. Okay. We have on the call, we have Greg Catamatore, and we have a couple of items we might shift out of order, but the first one we're going to do is we're going to take Greg Catamatore, and we are going to take number 3, memorandum from the planning board regarding the initiation of an amendment to the Gloucester zoning ordinance, repeal of section 5.16 Village Development Overlay District, the VDOD. And this has already been vetted by the planning board, and the planning board has come back with a unanimous recommendation to kibosh this thing because apparently it doesn't work. Is that it, Greg? Is that about the sum of it?
Good evening, councilors, and tell me if I'm too loud because I can't tell how loud I am in the room.
You're good.
Yeah, so this is, I can share my screen and show you a couple of graphics if you want more background to the development of the ordinance and why the planning board came to the conclusion that it was kind of obsolete or problematic in its application.
Let's do that. Let's just run through it.
Okay, just very quickly, if you can see my screen. Is that coming through? Yes?
You're good.
Okay. So this is a figure that was in the Daler study, which was developed back in and around 2000, and provided a lot of recommendations for potential land use regulation changes. And in this area, this area that's highlighted in blue was an area that was identified for potential higher density development, and areas outside of that area in Ward 5-2 were identified to potentially be conserved. Over the years, policy changes had shifted from the original intent of that document. In past administrations, there were the potential for extension of sewer to areas, private sewer extensions. There was a policy decision that folks that were on failing septic systems should no longer wait for sewer to be the permanent solution and to move on with upgrading their systems. So some of these areas in the blue were kind of taken out of consideration for being able to be developed under this ordinance 516 Village Development Overlay District. Essentially, there was the idea of creating a incentive district that if you conserved areas outside of the blue area, you could increase the density of development in the corridor. This ordinance was developed in 2003. I've been the planning director since 2005, and there has only been one application in that period of time that chose to try to use the Village Development Overlay District. Most of the development in the corridor has been through as of right development, A&R development, a couple of common driveways here and there. There was a sizable piece of property that made an application, and it really identified a number of flaws with the ordinance. And they are numerous. They are outlined in the report from the planning board. They held a public hearing on August 7th and essentially reiterated the language that they put forward in the initiation of the repeal of the ordinance. There were things that were potentially to be set up to work with the ordinance that did not occur. And again, what it boiled down to mostly was the way that it was being applied was very inconsistent in its interpretation between what an applicant was thinking that was the approach versus what the board was feeling the interpretation of the ordinance was. That applicant withdrew. I believe you might recall, Councilor Groh, you also made a slight proposed amendment to it. There was inconsistency in the application of our inclusionary ordinance in this overlay district. So at the end of the day, the board outlined a number of reasons why they felt that it was problematic and that there could be other approaches that might be more appropriate and also refined. But this was not an ordinance that they felt was really kind of worth trying to fix because of its limited application and the other types of development that occurred in the corridor over that 20-year period. And I'll stop sharing that.
So I'm a little late.
So I can answer any questions.
Question? Oh,
Can you tell us who spoke at the public hearing?
There was no representation for or against. I don't know if folks had tracked the planning board discussion at the initiation because there was quite a bit of discussion about it. It also began in a discussion in the subcommittee of the planning board. So there's again, it's either it would be somebody that was potentially interested in utilizing the ordinance, or potentially folks that weren't particularly enamored with the one application that came forward. But there was no one that spoke at the hearing.
Greg, what kind of ordinance do we have on the books now that could replace that in terms of the kinds of projects that the VDOD was considering?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's an exact replacement, but one of the things that the subcommittee is looking at is, we have several alternatives to a subdivision, which is very prescribed, the state law that guides what a subdivision is, as long as you comply with the requirements of the planning board's subdivision regulations. It's a fairly should be a fairly straightforward process. We have cluster development ordinance as well as open space residential development that are alternatives that could potentially be used. They are looking closely at those two ordinances as they have some nuanced differences between them. They have some similar goals. So I think that's kind of the direction that the board is going at this point, is to kind of refine those two, and that might create an option. Again, these alternatives are usually for larger development sites, and much of the corridor has been developed through A&R process and just isn't quite at the scale that some of these alternative vehicles, for approaching permitting really could kind of play out well.
Has that corridor been mostly sewered now because of our connection with Essex?
Yes. So this work was done in advance of that, and that was the planning that was associated with the Daler study of where to sewer, where not to sewer, what the capacity was, what the extension would look like. So this was all just prior to the initiation of the construction of the trunk line that leads to Essex.
Any questions? No? No. So next steps for us is that we would recommend rescinding, is that the right word? Deleting that the ordinance. We already advertised for public hearing on this? I think we have, haven't we?
No, it's going to public hearing and.
I thought we did. We motion to waive the notice. I know we did that.
We will have to do, so you made a waived notice for this.
Yes.
So we're good on that. Public hearing, I believe, is next month.
Okay. Greg, you got anything else to add to that?
Nope.
All right. Motion template. There we go. All right. So I will make a motion that move to recommend the city council amend Gloucester zoning ordinances section 5 special regulations by deleting section 5.16 village development and adding sections 5.16 reserved. And that's a
Second.
moved and seconded by everybody. We'll give it to Val.
Okay.
Because you weren't here. I'm punishing you. Any other discussion on the motion? Yes.
So a public hearing was held. There was nothing that really came out of that, and we've only had one applicant in this time, so I believe that the planning board has made the proper decision to recommend this. So I'll be supporting this.
Good, all right. Greg, I do want to ask you a quick question, not that it relates to this necessarily, but does this give us some cause to think that maybe it's time to take a fine tooth comb through the ordinance to find issues of discrepancies and conflict? I mean, I know it's a huge job, but I mean, is it something that we ought to be doing?
I mean, I think that is what the planning board and its subcommittee is doing right now. We have a lot more tools to work with at this point. We just recently did a pretty significant analysis of, for instance, the amount of nonconformity in a lot of our residential districts. A lot of changes were also made to the zoning ordinance in advance of the North Gloucester Sewer Project, as well as the extension to Essex, basically to control growth. And that has created a situation where there's most of the lots have some form of nonconformity. That leads to a lot of activity at the Zoning Board of Appeals. So there's a little bit of a discussion about, what might be appropriate for some of those areas to kind of limit that amount of activity. What does a side yard setback mean? In one district it's 30, in another it's 10. So there's a lot of those things that can be considered, and they're starting with looking at the ordinances that maybe have some conflict with one another, but there's plenty of work to be done.
Excellent.
What did you mean by control growth? If I don't want to keep you, I know you're having to go to the city. But what did you mean about controlled growth? If you could
So
elaborate on that.
very bluntly, a lot of the districts were almost doubled in size in terms of their minimum lot area requirement. So that if you had been operating under decades, for instance, in a 10,000 square foot district, people divided property, redivided property, creating 10,000 square foot lots. And then some of those areas were zoned to 20,000 square foot minimum. So all those lots that had been developed over decades were now undersized. New lots that have to be developed would have to meet the new standard. And setbacks were changed as well in those districts. So a lot of those structures, pre-existing structures, now violate the zoning ordinance. So it creates quite a mess.
That makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I think of just in my own ward where it's a lot of R5, and you're thinking of a lot of these lots are non-conforming. Like you have houses like one is 2, and then there's one behind it, 2B or 2C. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
All right.
Sure.
On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, 0. Thank you very much, Greg. Safe driving.
Thank you for taking me out of order, and I apologize for the delay for anybody that was up first. Have a good evening.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Greg. All right, I want to just dispense with number 1 quickly, because we already talked about the issue that came up as a result of the petitions that were filed in July that caused some conflict. And so I've been talking with Suzanne, and I think we just need to be very clear moving forward that conditions and requests and things like that after the vote is taken on a petition are meaningless.
Yeah.
Okay, except for the fact that they can cause conflict with National Grid or DPW going against our wishes that we've expressed in the meeting that aren't actually bound to anything. So if you have concerns, let's make sure we put them in the permit motion, and that's perfectly acceptable as long as they're reasonable requests. So
I think that makes total sense, especially when we're talking about, like, say there is obviously we had a situation that wasn't affecting, but there could be places where they want to put a poll petition. And now if it's a non-emergency poll petition, we could say, could you wait until, and I think the process, we should be making that as a condition, and we vote on it,
Yeah.
whatever the outcome may
we
be.
just don't want to put people into untenable positions where we're saying, oh, no, it's okay now, and you know, on what authority. So that's all I have to say on that. We did speak about it last week. So is there any other?
Didn't we also, when we went over the ordinance that Lyons gave us, it notes that Suzanne needs to look at the conditions as well as Mike Hale for the poll petitions?
You're talking about dates and
Yeah,
when?
no, not dates, just the whole conditions.
Well,
That document that Lyons set.
Right, but
had that as.
when
a
we're talking
second.
about conditions of when you do projects,
Right,
that's not that's an issue of scheduling. I don't think
Okay,
Suzanne has to.
but I thought the procedure said that she should be looking not at coming up with those dates, but
Right.
just looking at it. I don't know what that means in the ordinance, but that was part B.
They're short ordinance, I'm pulling up the ordinance as you talk, just
It
to
was
see.
part B. It did say that, and I just wanted to make sure that we touched upon
Yeah,
that.
so, and if you want me to,
Yeah.
I mean, I can read it. In addition to the agreement required by subsection A of this section, each applicant for a permit required by this division shall execute an agreement in writing satisfactory to the general counsel agreeing to accept the location and conditions of granting such permit and to save the city harmless of any and all claims whatsoever by whomsoever made for damages, cost, expenses, charges, or compensation for or on account of or in any way growing out of the activities authorized by the permit. Such an agreement, after its approval by the general council, shall be filed with the city clerk, and no permit shall be issued until such agreement is so filed.
Right.
So it would have to be, yeah, so it has to be approved by the general council upon what we approve,
Yeah.
and then it would be filed with the clerk. Now, if they don't file it with the clerk, they don't have the grant of location. That's how I'm reading it.
So we make a recommendation
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
It doesn't go to the full committee, it ends, and
Right.
then we just
goes
have
to-
to route it to
Yeah.
Suzanne, just to take a look at it, to make it.
I want to make sure it's proper.
Okay,
But my biggest concern was that if we have conditions that are outside the normal scope of what these things are about, like scheduling or.
oh, yeah, no, I
double
totally
things like
agree,
that.
I thought
We,
that,
we need to make
yeah,
it very clear.
totally
In
agree with
motion
that.
so that, we don't have a problem.
Absolutely, and I think it would be, I think doing that is, and we are going to be helping our constituents even more so. And also being able to like hold people to account on something, it will have more teeth, because then someone could say, well, you just suggested it, you didn't vote on this
Right,
type of thing.
right.
And
So I
then
think
we
that's
are doing-
important.
And we are doing a public hearing,
Yes.
and each one of those had a public hearing.
Mhm.
And that's what we need to stand tall on in
Yeah.
terms of what came out of that public
Right.
hearing for each individual.
And also, I've talked to Lines offline about the prospect of putting together a more specified application process. So things like timing,
Mhm.
duration,
Yep.
hours of work, whatever, might be put into this, just warning you guys ahead of time. Put it in the application so that we can have those issues right up front. This will take place in September, between September 10th and September 15th, whatever. They will have that on the application so that it's a more formalized process instead of just submitting a letter to us, which is kind of what they do now, and then we go through this process. So that's on the agenda of things to get done.
Mhm.
Offline, we'll bring it back to P and D.
Great,
All right.
Okay.
All right, with that, thank you very much. We'll go to poll petition 2025-005. Petition by National Grid to install underground facilities on Prospect Street beginning at a point approximately 120 feet northeast of the center line of the intersection of Pleasant Street and Prospect Street, and continuing approximately 55 feet in a southern direction. National Grid proposed the installation of about 55 feet of 2 to 3 inch conduit for manhole 455-2 to customer-owned handhole 1. And with that, I will open up the public hearings. And ask anybody to speak. First off is, I'm gonna open the public hearing. Have the abutters all been notified of this properly? Good, we're gonna invite the applicant to speak on behalf of the petition, so you guys fire away. And just your name and address and all that stuff.
And if, could it be helpful to put on the screen where this is
A map?
exactly going?
You
Yeah,
have-
that- I know there's something on the,
Mine's gonna do so.
yeah, that would be helpful, and then you can point if you want.
Right here.
Of course.
Something on the Zoom counselors, so give you one.
Give 1 second here, we'll get this sort of started.
I like the color of this room. Pretty nice, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. It looks a lot neater than it used
It
to.
goes with,
before
it
it was
goes with my
painted.
shirt, you know?
Is that random? We're just wasting time right
Who
now.
was that, who was the big interior designer / cookie who went to jail for Martha Stewart, yes, we're gonna call you Counselor Stewart. from now
Oh,
on.
and I've
Yeah.
got my flower and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, that's, yeah.
There.
There you go. Hi, Lance. There we go.
Hello everyone, I'm Ismail Miku, I'm IKOU Distribution Design Engineer at National Grid, 44 River Street in Beverly, Massachusetts. We are here for the public hearing for 79 Prospect Street. We are having a problem with this property where they are being fed overhead from Elm Street, and the wire goes from Elm Street to the house 79. I can point. If you can see, there is a pole on the right, the middle pole on Elm Street.
Yep.
Yeah, the middle one is what feeds map 14 lot 9. And this creates an aerial trespassing over 81 Prospect Ave, which is lot 8. And for that, we found a solution to go underground for house number 79. Because on Prospect Street, there are no poles. And installing poles will be hard because there is a lot of gas pipes and underground electric system going on.
Okay. So you're gonna dig up, well, go ahead and keep.
Yeah,
going.
so our plan is to dig from manhole number, sorry, I can't see the number.
455 dash.
Yeah, 455-2 to handhole, customer owned handhole 1. It's gonna be about 55 feet digging, and we're going to install 2 of 3 inches PVC pipes for our wires to go in and feed lot 9.
We'll get the questions. Yeah, yeah. Is there anything else that you need to add to that?
Yeah, so Rafael Keregelen, National Grid as well, 44 River Street, Beverly. This job is gonna be done, everything is gonna be done by National Grid. So the civil work is gonna be done by our civil contractor. The conduit that we're gonna be installing is concrete in case. So probably gonna take 1 day to trench. The next day, they can install, they can inspect and pass inspection for our trench inspector. And it's gonna be like a temporary restore until our civil contractor restore permanently. But meanwhile, we will be using the metal plates.
Okay. We'll get to questions in a minute. We're gonna go through the thing here. Is there anyone else to speak in favor? You done, I suppose? You done? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Nobody online? All right, good. Written communications, we got National Grid's request. Yeah, is there any other?
You like me to read it?
What, the whole thing?
I did it at the last one. I had the communication from Mike Hale.
Oh, okay, yeah, please put that one in.
This is dated July 15th, 2025 from Mike Hale, Public Director of Public Works. Councilors, the Department of Public Works has reviewed the above mentioned application by Massachusetts Electric Company, DBA National Grid, and Verizon New England Incorporated requests permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures along and across the following public way. Prospect Street, National Grid to install underground facilities on Prospect Street, beginning at a point approximately 120 feet northeast of the center line of the intersection of Pleasant Street and Prospect Street, and continuing approximately 55 feet in a southern direction. National Grid proposed the installation of 55 feet of 2 to 3 inch conduit from manhole 455-2 to customer-owned handhole 1. Also for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables, and wires in the above or intersecting public ways for the purpose of making connections with such poles and buildings as each of said petitioners may desire for distributing purposes. In an attempt to maintain the quality of city roadways, the Department of Public Works requests the following be required of the applicant. 1. Notification of the Department of Public Works 72 hours in advance of the proposed work. A construction schedule will be prepared by the applicant for review and acceptance by the Department of Public Works. In the absence of a detailed construction plan, the Department of Public Works requests all proposed conduits and
Appurtenances.
appurtenances. I practice too.
I know, it's a tough one.
Shall be placed so as to cause minimum conflict with existing underground utility services. All excavations must be secured at all times. All excavated trenches may be patched flush with the surrounding asphalt using hot mix asphalt binder at the end of each workday to minimize pedestrian hazards. Asphalt should be applied in 2 lifts of 2 inches totaling 4 inches. Sidewalks must be restored with like material immediately after pole set. And all final paving shall be done in consultation with the Department of Public Works and an agreed upon final paving plan executed by the applicant. Should you have any questions regarding the conditions requested, please do not hesitate to contact my office.
Superb. All right. Questions from the counselors? Your word.
Yes, my questions for you is, the property owner is aware of this, so like, person's gonna be, okay, so they're aware and they're all supportive of this, and this will help them. This will help them like lower their utility bill, is that what the real goal? So understanding what the goal is here.
Goal is to solve the problem of the aerial trespassing with their neighbor.
Can we explain that real quick?
Yes,
No,
of course. So
you go from here, you go across the,
So this house, they have a wire coming from this to here behind their house, and that's what feeds them the electricity. But as you can see, it's aerial trespassing for number 81.
easement.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah,
And the neighbor doesn't want, makes sense, they don't want overhead over their backyard, or I'm not sure what's here. And so the solution was to go underground from this side. It's easier for us to go overhead on Prospect Street, but there are no poles,
there are no
as you
poles.
can see.
Up one, it would be ridiculous.
Exactly, and there's no enough room on the sidewalk too for that. So we already have a manhole here, good feeders. So all we have to do is to trench and give them electricity.
That makes sense, and how long do you anticipate this work going for?
Like 3 days in total.
Oh, yeah.
And for 3 days, and how long will the time be, is it like, 9 to 5, like how 9 to 5, what will be the time frame each?
So
of those 3
usually
days?
we prefer like daytime,
Okay,
but it depends more of what the city prefer in that case.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think daytime would obviously, you're gonna, the noise and stuff like that, and
Exactly, it's big
and it's a residential area, there's a lot of folks that live around there.
Exactly.
But also thinking like how traffic will be diverted, because this is a very busy,
Yes.
well-traveled. Obviously, you're doing this probably after the summer months. I mean, it's almost over. I can't believe it. But that's a concern that I have, because this is again, people driving all across the city to go to work, et cetera. This is gonna have impact, correct? Like, what kind of impact will this have?
So in this case, usually like what it takes to us is like the first day will be like trenching and installing the conduits
Okay,
and making all the civil work in that case. The second day, our trench inspector says that clear it, and then the next day we just patch it.
okay,
And you do half the road first, divert traffic around to the other half of
Yes.
the road.
We obviously follow all DPW's guidance, and obviously we're gonna have the police detail and everything.
Do you have a sense of when you're gonna start this project?
No, it depends. So in this case, it depends on the city. We cannot start without your permission. So after it's approved, usually like we're gonna take now the lead time for starting projects, like in the queue, it can be minimum like 12 weeks to 16 weeks.
Oh, out from here.
After,
Yeah.
yes.
So we're not even talking for anything until 12 weeks from now.
Yes, 12,
Minimum.
16 weeks minimum.
Okay, so that puts us into November.
Yes.
And there's the issue of street openings.
Yeah, the moratorium, we have to do it before, yeah.
November
Moratorium.
For November 15th.
Yeah,
Yes,
well, in that case, I would leave it. I would suggest leaving it to Mike Hale to sort out.
I agree, and I think, and from, I'm confident for what you're saying is that there's gonna be, there obviously, and what Counselor Rowe just said is that you're not gonna be shutting down this street, you're gonna divert traffic one side and the other side. And yeah, and again, I do think that if you're, maybe we can all vote on this as well, is having this during the day. I think having this at night would be too disruptive for folks that live in.
Yeah, primarily residential.
Yeah.
Down there, so.
the good thing is that, like we just say that the civil war in this case is gonna be done like totally responsible by National Grid.
Yeah.
Like usually we don't do civil work, usually it's customer, but in this case, we're gonna be doing. So our civil contractor, they can trench like easily 10 feet, 100 feet per day. So this case like the half.
Yeah.
So probably gonna take them like half a day,
Okay.
a working day, half working day.
Good, yep.
I got a question.
Yep.
So are there metal plates, that's just the placeholder after
Yes.
you open it up and then
Yes.
need to get the cars going
Yes.
back and forth, if you're moving from one direction to the other? you
Yes.
gotta use the metal plate.
Temporary.
I think that, yeah.
Temporary, yeah.
And letting, I think, drivers know, hopefully, and I will definitely, when this project comes, is get the folks to have something through our Facebook, Gloucester Facebook, and they do that, so we're sharing something to inform constituents and folks, because if they're driving and they're driving so fast, you don't want their tires to be flat or whatever.
Yes.
And I think Councilor Billman, thank you for saying that, because it's good that people are gonna be driving. And my hope too is that when you tear this all up, that you're gonna bring it back to where it was before. Cause I know
Yes.
sometimes National Grid, you tear up roads and then the roads they're just still teared up
Yes.
after the fact. But I appreciate that, and that was just, and if that maybe can be something to stress is that they repair the road back to the condition. the
Yes,
road was
that's
before.
actually one of the,
So-
that's one of the conditions of
Yep.
the paving.
I know that, and that's something we've talked about
Yeah.
here and offline as well. So
All right.
that's it for
Any
me.
questions? You good? All right, we'll close the public hearing. And we're gonna read the motion. Move to permit Mass Electric, DBA, Company DBA, National Grid, and Verizon New England Incorporated to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the public way, and install underground facilities on Prospect Street, beginning at a point approximately 120 feet northeast of the center line of the intersection of Pleasant Street and Prospect Street, and continuing approximately 55 feet in the southern direction. National Grid proposed the installation of approximately 55 feet of 2 to 3 inch conduit from manhole 455-2 to customer-owned handhole number 1 and all appurtenances. Also for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables, and wires in the above or intersecting public ways for the purpose of making connections with such poles and buildings as each of said petitioners may desire for distribution purposes in Gloucester, Massachusetts, as shown on a plan included in the application dated May 20, 2025, with the following conditions. I'm just gonna read them. Notification number 1, notification to the public, Department of Public Works, 72 hours in advance of the proposed work. Construction schedule will be prepared by the applicant for review and acceptance by the Department of Public Works. 2, proposed excavation may only occur during the accepted road opening and construction season, 15th of March through 15th of November. In the absence of a detailed construction plan, the Department of Public Works requests that all proposed conduits and appurtenances shall be placed so as to cause minimum conflict with existing underground utility services. Number 4, all excavations must be secured at all times. 5, all excavated trenches shall be patched flush with the surrounding asphalt using hot mix asphalt binder at the end of each workday to minimize pedestrian hazards. Asphalt shall be applied in 2 lifts of 2 inches total and 4 inches. Number 6, sidewalks must be restored with like material immediately after pole set. And 7, all final paving shall be done in consultation with the Department of Public Works and agreed upon final paving plan executed by the applicant. And I so.
Second.
Any other discussion on the motion? Now, the only thing I would say is, we are grateful that you guys have finally gotten to cleaning up the, this Roger Street area. We appreciate that. And,
Yes.
at the moment, we have no pressing double pole issues that I know of to hold over your head. We'll do that next time.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, no zero. So we're approved. And you'll do what you do. You meet with Mike and get the work out. All right, thank you very much, Marlon.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
so much. Thank
That
you.
was nice to see you both.
And as it gets closer, knowing that, letting the neighbors know as well.
Yes.
So thank you.
Cool, cool. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate it very much.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Good. All right. We can do the, we'll go to do the special council permit. We can do special events again, because none of it's coming back.
Okay.
All right. So number 4, or wherever we are, special council permit 2025-007. Dale Avenue, number 23, Gloucester zoning ordinance, sections 1.8.3, standard to be applied, 2.3.1, residential uses. Subsection 7, conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 4 to 6 dwelling units, 3.2.2, dimensional requirements for multifamily dwellings and their accessory uses other than signs. Footnote A, regarding the minimum lot area, open space per dwelling unit, and 3.1.6B, building heights in excess of 35 feet for the conversion of a 4-family dwelling unit in the R20 district. And with that, I will have Deb Ellison. Well, let me stop for a second. We had a site visit yesterday. We had a bunch of questions. We've had the proposal already presented to us once, so we don't need to go through the whole proposal again. Why don't we just start with the questions that were asked to the site committee, site visit, and we'll just move from there. Does that work?
May I join you?
Please do. Yes.
Yeah.
These are red notes. You want a copy? Or you want that?
Oh, sorry, I did go by the property. I mean, I go by the property all the time because I walk everywhere, so.
You're out of order.
And I am out of order. Apologize.
That's good.
All right.
All right. Floor is yours, Beth.
Do you want me to share my screen and go through the questions? I don't know how you want to handle those questions.
I think we can just read them and answer them. Unless they,
Except for the diagram.
oh, you,
kind of
then why don't we show the screen?
Thank you for getting done so quickly.
They're not getting those to me.
He's great. All right.
Here we go.
All right.
So last night we did have the site visit and there were certain questions that were asked and I was asked to respond to them in writing so that we would have them for the record as well as for the public. The first was, will the units be rental or privately owned? The intention is for the units to be rental, but I just would point out that that's an ownership issue and it's not a zoning requirement. How many offices are permitted? Currently, there are 3 offices that are permitted for this site. How many residents are currently living in the structure at Dale Avenue? No residents will be displaced. There are 2 residents with short-term leases. They needed local housing on a temporary basis, so they will be moving out at the end of it. Where will the businesses be relocated? There is 1 business that's now located in the building, and that tenant would be offered an option to relocate to the office that is going to be constructed over there. How will the existing garage be redone, and what is the purpose of the garage structure? A second floor will be added to the existing garage. The stucco on the exterior of the garage will be removed and replaced with materials similar to the main house. And windows will be replaced with windows similar in style to the main house. Can you show us the parking spaces? There are 7 outside parking spaces, and those are the numbered spaces that are shown on the diagram. There is 1 regulation space in the garage and 1 smaller space in the garage. The residential units require 4 spaces. The office requires 2, so that leaves 2 extra compliant spaces plus 1 non-compliant space. What will be the exterior changes to the main building? There will be repair and restoration of the main house to be consistent with current materials and design. The exterior of the garage will be altered to be consistent with the main building. The existing stucco will be replaced with exterior finishes and materials to match the main house. 2 roof decks will be added over existing porches, and 1 porch will be enclosed. Will the main building have a sprinkler system? Yes. Will the central staircase remain? Yes. How tall will the garage be after it is renovated? It'll be 26.5 feet. Where will the 2 second-floor decks be located? One is on the south side of the property facing the garage, and the other is on the Franklin Square side. And I'm just going around both of those. Will the height of the main building remain the same? Yes, it will stay at 39.4 feet. And this is a duplicate question. What type of exterior changes will occur for the main building and the garage? And I don't think I need to read those again.
It should be noted in, oh, you've got it in 14, okay.
Yes. Did the Historic District Commission submit their conditions to the applicant? Can we make sure that we have this information as soon as possible? A certificate of appropriateness was issued on July 17, 2025, and a copy was provided to the council and the city clerk's office today. Has the ZBA approved the plan? The ZBA issued a decision on May 29th, 2025, granting variances for the existing conditions and special permits for the office in the garage. What is the purpose of the door entrance facing St. Anne's? It's a second entrance for the first floor.
Any questions about questions? Yeah,
We just introduced our 2 guests.
yes, why don't you
I
introduce
know
yourself
we
for the
met you
record?
both yesterday.
Yeah.
But thank you.
I'm Jim McSweeney, the owner of the
Yeah.
property. Joe Taramina Architects.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Number 5, the existing garage, and it's going to be converted into a commercial space. But it's gonna have a kitchenette and a 3/4 bathroom, so.
Correct.
Just want to make it clear that it's not going to be converted into a residential unit. At which point it would trigger the inclusion, wouldn't trigger the inclusionary housing, but it would be under, it would be 5 units, so. But the expectation is that that's not going to be converted.
And the building code would require another entrance,
Mhm.
and so the ZBA was comfortable with the fact that it could not be converted unless we went back to them.
Right.
For that.
Any other questions on?
And
the
to have
questions?
that shower, I'd like, so people understand too that are listening and, the shower in the office, and you mentioned at the last meeting is some offices have that now because people are working out in the middle of the day type of thing. That's kind of why, and is that what it's used for now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's nothing
There's
right
there's
now.
nothing in there. There's nothing in there yet.
There's
Okay, I
only a
remember.
garage for cars
Okay.
at the moment.
If I may,
Yeah. go ahead.
beyond this, I'd like to see some sort of landscaping plan, if that's appropriate to. I don't know if that's been included or not, just because I know there's a lot of growth on the outside, like, there, and it's kind of causing some like problems for neighbors walking back. But if there's a way once you're doing, if you could just clean that up and stuff like that,
It's
that would
gonna
be.
all be redone.
Okay.
It's all gonna have to be torn out.
Yeah.
To access.
That would be helpful just to see as we went before the public hearing, just some sort of landscape.
Do we want an official landscaping plan? I don't think it's.
I think it would
Right.
be,
It's
No,
Required.
It's not
Yeah,
required.
it's not required.
if it's obviously, if it's not required, it's up to you. I'd like to see it, but it's up to you. Okay.
Just so you, I mean, this is an expensive project to do
Yeah.
this. I'm gonna make that look nice. It's
Okay.
not gonna be,
No, I trust you on
Yeah.
that, and that's fair enough
Yeah.
for me. That's fine. I appreciate that, and again, yeah, and maybe even before that, there's some, we can chat offline.
yeah, you can tell me what you want. I'm
Yeah.
pretty flexible. with that.
Yeah, we can chat offline just about like, as temporarily, we can talk about that. That's not even to do with this, so.
Yeah, a
I
lot of it
appreciate
will be pulled out at the beginning
Yeah.
because we need to access some of the sides and to clean stuff up.
Okay, no, that's fair for me.
Right, so it's gonna be planted, it's not gonna be like, you're not gonna pour gravel around it.
No.
Okay. Some people think gravel's fun. Not a fan of gravel.
I have a
Yeah,
question, it's kind of an extension of the question, but could you just elaborate once again and tell us what the provisions were from the historical group in terms of, what they asked? I know you gave us the letter, but, that would be great if
Let me pull it up so we can refer to it.
Okay. Sorry. no.
So this is the Historic District Certificate of Appropriateness, and it gave us permission to restore and repair the main building, add new porches and partial demolition in addition of a second floor to the garage. They also required that the main chimney remain above the roof line and that there not be a spiral stair leading to the second floor deck on the Franklin Court side. All windows of the main house and the garage will be 6/6 grill pattern to be in keeping with the age of the building.
Great, that's helpful, thank you.
All right. So why don't we, for the sake of reminder and all, let's go through the specific asks in term, or let's go through 1.8.3 real quick. We have it pretty much outlined in your thing, we'll just read through it real quick, and then the go through the required dimensions and relief granting numbers so that we finish talking about that. And the combined height of, we talked about the combined height of the buildings and the distance apart, so we'll talk about that. Thanks for this.
So in accordance with GCO 1.8.3, the proposed change of the main building to a fully residential use is in harmony with the intended purpose of the GCO. Only minimal changes to the exterior of the main house, which were approved by the HDC. The interior will be remodeled, providing 2 additional units and updates to the existing units. Changes to the garage have also been approved by the HDC. And I would suggest that this will not adversely affect the neighborhood, the R5 district, or the city to such an extent that it waives those benefits. Social, economic, and community needs will be served by the change in use from residential and office use to 4 residential units. The main building will remove the offices and become all residential. It will add badly needed housing to the downtown area, and converting the garage to an office retains the mixed-use nature of the property. The structures have not been updated for many years, and this will improve the site and this part of the neighborhood. Traffic and safety impact will be negligible. There's more than the required conforming on-site parking to meet residential and office requirements. And the removal of the 2 offices will lessen the traffic coming to and from the site. Since the 1 office will be a private office, there will not be any members of the public coming to the site. The adequacy of utilities and other public services will not be negatively affected, and it's adequately served by city water and sewer. No substantial increased demand on utilities from 2 additional residential units, and the utilities will be updated as needed. The proposed office use is consistent with this neighborhood character and social structure, which is predominantly mixed commercial and residential properties, many of which are combination of office and residential. There are many large 3-story buildings in the neighborhood, and the height of the existing building is 39.4 feet, and that will not change. The qualities of the natural environment will not be negatively affected. The footprints of the buildings and impervious area will not be substantially altered. There are no wetlands or other conservation resource areas. Open space on the lot for the residential units is compliant. Lot area per dwelling unit is slightly under the required 2,500 square feet. It is 2,314 square feet, and it's more compliant than many other smaller lots in the neighborhood. Potential fiscal impact will be positive. Upgrades and improvements made to the property will likely increase the value of the property and modestly add to real estate taxes assessed on the property. Vulnerability to flooding and flood damage, taking into consideration projections for sea level rise. None of the property is located within the FEMA flood zone or an area projected to be within the flood zone due to sea level rise.
And then we've got sections 1.10.182 and 2.2.2, which is the minimum lot area for dwelling, and you said open space we're good on, right?
Yes.
Even though most of it's
It's
parking lot, yeah.
required is
Yeah.
1,250 square feet. We have 1,553 square.
right. So it's just the
Dwelling unit.
dwelling
per-
unit per
lot area.
right,
Mhm.
and that's 186 feet per unit. This is relief granted, correct? Yeah.
I haven't done that.
Yeah, well, you've
Yes.
got it written there.
One
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I haven't either, but there it magically is. What else? And then the other issue that we're dealing with is the distance between two buildings,
Mhm.
which we discussed at the site visit.
The
Um,
required distance is 65.9 feet and existing is 22.5 feet.
Can you repeat that?
The required distance is 65.9 feet and the existing distance is 22.5 feet. And the distance will not change because the buildings are staying where they are.
yeah.
Okay,
You're good with that?
I'm good with that. I just,
Mhm.
I just asked you to repeat so I.
Yeah.
Digest it and understand it, so.
And
Lastly,
the height will stay the same.
right. and the height
The height is
section.
not yeah, this is.
Of the main. building.
That's 3.1.6B. Yeah, it's an existing building. It's not changing the exterior. It's not, no additional shadowing. There's no additional. There's no real reason to question. the
No,
validity of
and
that
I think
request.
it's that obviously it's because it's a change of use, but I think it's it's, we should find a way that you don't have to come before us and do this again, because I think that's just, but anyway.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
that's. fair.
I digress on that one. I have no issues with that. Yeah, my only, if I may, my only question is, when the construction begins, is hiring local construction workers. Will you do that?
Yes.
Okay. That's, I asked that of all projects, and I think that's a great economic engine, and you talked about that, the economic impacts, and hiring local people to do local work is great. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Good. Any questions, Al?
No.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, is there, I mean, it's not a public hearing, but maybe just do a page. Maybe our colleagues. Nope. All right. Well, with that, we can make a recommendation and move this to public hearing is scheduled for
August 26th.
next week. Next Tuesday. All right, with that, I'll read the recommendation. Move to recommend that the city council grant the Dale Avenue LLC a special council permit 2025-007. And just do that for effect.
Yeah, Jamie, I'm good.
For the property located at Dale Avenue, number 23, Assessors Map 14, Lot 25, R5 District, pursuant to the Gloucester zoning ordinance, section 2.3.17, conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 4 to 6 dwelling units, for the conversion to a 4-family use and pursuant to Gloucester zoning ordinance 3.1.6B, building heights in excess of 35 feet, for the building to remain at 39.4 feet, pursuant to Gloucester zoning ordinance 3.2.2. A and D, dimensional requirements for multifamily dwellings and their accessory uses other than signs, for minimum lot area dwelling unit and reduction in allowable proximity of principal buildings, and as follows. Minimum lot area per dwelling unit in square feet, the required dimension is 2,500 square feet. The existing dimensions is not known, the proposed are not applicable. The proposed dimension is 2,314 square feet per granted relief of 186 square feet per unit. The combined heights of the buildings in feet, the combined heights currently are 65.9. The current distance is 22.5. The proposed distance is 22.5. The granted relief is 43.4 feet. And this permit is granted on the basis of plans and elevations dated May 12th, 2025. 4 plans for Dale, 23 Dale, and submitted to the city clerk on June 24th, 2025, entitled basement floor plan, first floor plan, second floor plan, third floor plan, front elevation, rear elevation, and garage. Subject to new information and or debate that results from the public hearing, this permit is deemed to be in harmony with the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance, and I so move.
Okay.
Moved by me and seconded by Bill Benson. Discussion on the motion. Yep, wow.
So I think this is a great project. It seems like both of you are totally on top of this, which is great. There were 5 of us on the city council there last night for the site visit, and we appreciated that and wanted to. And, what are you laughing at?
I triple booked on that,
I'm giving Bill.
but I've been there many times, and I do have a question, and I will
All right.
ask you after.
So, may I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. So my 2 giggling colleagues here, so minimal changes to the exterior, which is important in terms of change for people, I think. It's going to help us as a four-family residential building with an office that doesn't have constant public coming in. It just seems like all of 1.8.3 is very well satisfied. And I'm just delighted to see this beautiful building restored and made even more beautiful. So I will be supporting this.
Great. Dylan?
I will be supporting this as well, and I definitely, again, it fits every criteria. It fits the character of the neighborhood, the building is not changing. And you will be providing housing and hopefully, housing that is desperately needed for people. And hopefully that these will be affordable, they will be considered affordable, I mean, obviously when we have the presentation, I'll have a few questions of just who you envision living there, but anyway, I will be supporting this. And I appreciate all the effort that you're doing, and I concur with Councilor Gilman as you're continuing to this building that is a historic building in a historic part of town that's gonna be continued in use for many years to come. So, and I'm glad to see that it will be back to the way it was before as well. So thank you.
All right, without anything further, on motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, goes forward 3-0. Public hearing is slated for April, August 26th, I want spring to return. That's it, thank you very much. Baker.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that would be, I'll give you my card too.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Good night.
Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
See you Tuesday.
I appreciate it.
The last thing we have is the special event application, event number 25-45, request for street closures for the Mother of Grace Club ceremony procession on Sunday, September 7th, 2025, with a rain date, Sunday, September 14th, 2025. We have a copy of the report from the SEAC, where they discussed what they're gonna do. SEAC approved it 8-0. I did call Greg Cefalo, who presented at the SEAC, about one issue that I wanted, which was to make sure that, because it's a road closure across Washington Street, there are a number of businesses and all down there, that they make a notice to them.
Yes.
That they're gonna be closed, we're gonna be closing the street down in front of Mother of Grace for 4 hours. They will also have, as you know, a procession, and that will be a rolling procession. They've organized police escorts and the whole, but I did want to make sure that neighborhood businesses especially weren't surprised by the closure, because even though it's a Sunday, it's midday, it could impact some of the businesses down there.
This will go from 10:30 AM to 1:30.
I think it's 9:30 to
Yeah, they
1:30.
moved
Okay.
it.
Oh,
In the memo, originally, they proposed 10:30. Grace got an update from them after the fact, and the memo that is in the packet reflects the 9:30 to 1:30 change.
It's on
Right.
page 46 of the packet.
Yeah, I think it was 9:30. Do we want to, do you care about the, I mean, the SEAC is basically, there's no conditions other than they will, they'll have police presence and, you know. That's it. That's it. We will call Greg if we have any questions, but I didn't want pretty straightforward. All right. Any
I have
questions?
nothing. No, the only question I had would have been what you had to.
Yeah, I just
inform the
wanted to
businesses.
make sure that folks were alerted to it. I mean, they've done this in the past, right? They usually close one lane, I think is what they've done in the past.
I'm unsure. This has been an event that's happened before.
Yeah,
And in previous years, I don't believe it's gone before SEAC. And there is a increased attempt to get parades that have not been permitted in the past to be permitted properly by SEAC.
yeah, makes sense. You gotta treat everybody the same on that front. All right, with that, I'm gonna move to approve the road closures for the Mother of Grace Club ceremony on Sunday, September 7th, 2025, with a rain date of Sunday, September 14th, 2025. In order to temporarily close Washington Street from the intersection of Orchard Street to Granite Street from 10:30 AM to 1:30 PM. I'm gonna add with the stipulation that they alert local businesses and residents of the closure. And so with that, I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Dylan Benson. Any other discussion on the motion?
No.
You good? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Heard nothing. Good, we are done with our list. Is there anything else that anybody would like to discuss or bring up?
No,
All right,
thank you for our flowers.
Oh, you're welcome.
take a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor.
So moved.
I don't even know what I was
I'm
saying.
gonna get my grade is fast. Moved and seconded
I
by
did.
somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan moved and seconded himself and
Yes.
voted for everybody. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I voted for everybody.
55 minutes, there you go.